So I guess my story is about standing up for children in a way that they may or may not have actually needed. Oh, okay. It's weird to not touch it. I want to Miss Maisel it. So it was one day many years ago when I was taking my kid to a playground. She was really into doing cartwheels all the time. And the Rock Springs playground has got a really good surface. And she was just having the best time. She had been doing some summer camp there, so it was a familiar place to her. And there were some other kids there who were just being really sweet and playing with her, and she's autistic, so whenever there's kids being kind to her, I'm like, yes, they get her for all her quirks. And it was just a really pretty day. And also because she was so well entertained, I was able to just relax at a picnic table, and I had lunch that I brought, I had a book, and then I got really annoyed because some other people dared exist on the playground at the same time in my personal space. And it was some like teenage boys, and they may have lived in that neighborhood. It's a neighborhood where a lot of folks live. And a lot of people have ideas about certain neighborhoods in this town. And I used to, speaking of fears that people used to have, I used to think, oh gosh, Rock Springs, oh, it's scary, I should be afraid. Now also, women are taught that you should be afraid of groups of young men, sometimes with reason, sometimes not. And in my growing up, I've learned to kind of stop and question myself if I start to think, I'm kind of scared and oh no. And so I actually thought for a minute, and I think this might have been around the time of the Ferguson demonstrations. Black Lives Matter was heard of more around 2020, but I had heard of it before then, and I had a moment of going, oh my God, I'm like a not quite yet middle-aged white woman. What if they are scared of me? Because I knew that that could be a thing, and I had just never had that thought before. And so I got over being annoyed that people were in my space, but it kind of made me stop and think, because a lot of things, when you hear things in the news, they really do make you stop and think and kind of question what your role as, say, an older white lady in the world can be or should be. So then I hear this ruckus on the other side of the playground, and there's a bunch of little boys running around, and they're all excited and all upset about something, and I was about ready to go. I was done with my sandwich, my kid was done with the cartwheels, and they ran over to me, and I was like, what? Because I guess they saw Mom, and were like, come see the mom. What is it? And they were like, They called the police. There was a call box in the playground at Rock Springs, and these were young black boys, and I went, you did what? Like, that was my thought. I thought, oh my God, they called the police. What is going to happen to them? So I had this moment of, I'm going to throw my cloak of white motherhood around you and protect you. And I also didn't know what was so wrong that they were so upset. They had called the police because they wanted an ambulance. So then I'm going, oh my God, who's hurt? How can I help? No one was hurt. They were upset because there was a lizard that they'd been fighting over. The lizard I can still see that lizard today. It had a little cut on its back, and they were so upset. They wanted an ambulance, and they wanted the police to come and help. And I went, oh God, they've called the police. So I go over to the call box, and I'm like, the whitest I could possibly sound. Excuse me, sir. Yes, sir. The little boys, they're okay. They're upset because of a lizard, but meanwhile, they already had to send a police officer out. And I thought it was a real testament to the community policing that must be going on. Obviously, this is not the first time that sort of thing has happened. They were very nice, but they talked to the boys about, no, you can't just use the call box for a lizard. And so finally, we're getting out of there. Like, the kids are fine. They are safe. The police are fine. The lizard, I do not know what happened to the lizard. And I thought, okay, everybody's fine. The kids know not to do that. The police know that if something happens, it's just kids. They're fine. And so I'm kind of patting myself on the back for a job well done. I protected the kids even if they didn't need it. And I was driving away and looking through the rear view mirror in my car, I saw them going towards that little box again.